Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about airport charts. I personally think airport charts are one of the coolest additions to Pilot Training Flight Simulator and possibly the most useful aid in the game when it comes to basically everything. ATC, landing, everything. So I'll walk you through this entire setup here as quickly as possible. If you're wondering where I am right now, Pilot Training Flight Simulator has a website with all of these posted, and they're also in game in the bottom left. So, you can look at any one, either here or in the game, and yeah, they're extremely useful. So let's just start by working top to bottom. So starting off here, we have the name, right? RFD, that's Rockford, what that stands for. We have some more stuff here. This means effective until the 18th of May. Not really applicable here. Right here you have the elevation, which is useful for some of these. Let's see, this one's at 1. Some of these smaller ones, I believe Baltic is, yes, at 1200. So if you're trying to fly a traffic pattern 1,000 feet above this, you need to know that it's at 1,200 feet. So that can be useful, although most of them in this game are sea level. So keep that in mind, but not super useful, but can be useful. That's everything at the top there, pretty much. And now let me rotate it. And let's take a look at what all of this means. So starting off, here you have, this is of course at Rockford. You have your 3 runways here, 7L, C, and right, left, center, and right. And you notice when you're coming into land, right, let's say you're coming in from the west here, it's left, center, and right? It all looks good. But then if you're flipped coming from the other side, it's still 25 left is on the left, 25 right is on the right. So this is 25 left, but from the other side, it's 7 right. So that can take some getting used to, but it's very easy, and it makes sense that way, right? It wouldn't make sense if this was 7 right and then 25 right, because from this side it wouldn't look correct. What I'm trying to get at there. This number can be useful, not necessarily in this game, as we do not have performance charts for our aircraft yet. Hopefully someday we'll get those. But this number denotes how long the runway is. So this one's 3,400 feet, 3,600, 3,900. So if you're simulating emergency, you always want to go for the longest. If you want to try like a short field takeoff or landing, maybe you want to try for the shortest. That's another important thing. Here we have another elevation figure right here, which says the elevation of the runways. And in the game, you can see this one's elevation 3 and this one's elevation 3. If it was different elevations, those two numbers would be different, right? So that's what that stands for. So something to keep in mind is that these numbers are not meaningless, right? 7 and 25. So 7 is actually 70, and it's 70 degrees. And so let's say you're out here to the west somewhere. If you're turning to try and land on 7 left, let's say, if you are flying down here from the north, if you look and you line up Rockford with 70 degrees at the top of the screen, where your bearing, right, your heading indicator, right, at the top of the screen, if you line that up with 70, you'll be right in line with these runways. So these are actually the bearings, and then this little number in here is the actual heading, right, 067, and then they round up to 70. Same thing over here. That's pretty much all you need to know. These little white areas, I believe these are, I can't remember what they're called, but there's I believe these are areas where there are yellow chevrons, which kind of like a blast area. You can't take off in those areas or land in those areas. So you have to pay attention to stuff like that, but otherwise, and then you can see here, these white lines, I believe, are there will be arrows before, right? And then over here as well, there will be arrows, and you can take off in those, but you cannot land in those. So that's pretty much everything to do with the runways. Now we talk about these taxiways. Generally, if you're listening to the ATC, if there is one, which is right here, the control tower, it's marked down there. Generally, they will use the phonetic alphabet. So you might want to look that up if you are curious and you're not familiar with it. It takes a little getting used to, but if they want you to taxi to 7 left and you're, say, here on Alpha, they'll say, cross 7 right and then continue on Bravo, right? They won't call it B. And then maybe hold short on Bravo 1. So just pay attention to that. Let's go to this circle here. This is interesting. The circle is right here. It's right near here. It's a hotspot. So this area right here, it's just denoted as a spot where you have to pay more attention, basically. You have a couple taxiways coming in. You have Gulf here where basically, if you landed on 25 right or 7C, everyone's coming here if they're going to one of these gates. So that's just a spot where you have to pay extra attention. Not super important because these airports don't get super busy, but do keep that in mind. These are the helipads. Not much to say about those. These are all of your gates. So if they say taxi to gate 1, that's what you're looking for. Taxi to gate 10, right here. And of course, these are hangars, and all of this stuff is denoted, which is nice. Fire training, engine test site. All of that is there. There's your fuel. And then this is the north and south apron. So that's pretty much everything to do with the charts. I just want to show you one more thing here on Tokyo. So, and wait a minute, let me check something. Okay, it actually has the frequencies here on Tokyo, which is interesting. Now, for this game, it doesn't matter, but in real life, these are the actual frequencies you would contact on your radio. But anyways, everything's the same as it was in the last one. It's a little different, but it's pretty much the same. This one's a nice long runway, 4,800 feet. But you can see the thresholds are pretty long on here. So, you don't have that entire space to land, basically is what that means. But I just want to show, you always have to pay attention because if you see down here, runway 2 is not usable for landing. Now, if you're familiar with the game, and the reason I have it turned this way, by the way, is because this is north right here in the top right. So that's nice. But the reason I have it turned this way, right, is because that's north. And Tokyo is at the very top of the map. So as you're flying into here, a lot of people like to land on runway 2, but it's actually not usable for landing. And honestly, I have no idea why that is. It might be hard to see. It might be conflicting with the taxiways in some way. I'm not entirely sure. So you have to pay attention to that and making sure that you're listening to the tower if there is one. And if not, either choose 3-1 or find some way to loop around and land on 2-0 if you're trying to land on this strip. I like to go into the tower on Tokyo, and I notice a lot of the time people think that runway 2 is usable for landing, and it's not. So I just want to point that out. Pay attention. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video talking about this for anyone that doesn't know. Thank you for watching. This has been Airport Charts.